Assalamu alaikum sisters, and welcome back to Hold My Heart podcast, a show brought to you by After Maghrib. Currently you are watching the second episode where we have a guest and a very important topic. However, if you haven't already, watch our introduction episode where myself, the co-host Rida Fatima and Zohra give a little introduction to ourselves, why we're doing this podcast and why it's a space for you girls to tune into, inshallah. Before you get into the episode, if you haven't already, follow our Instagram, Hold My Heart Pod, and keep supporting us. Honestly, you guys have shown us so much love, and inshallah this space can be for you guys in the upcoming episodes as well. Before we get into this episode and introduce our guest, I would like to welcome my co-host Zohra. Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm excited for today's topic.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic as well for our first episode with a guest. And I'm very excited for this episode as well because we have an amazing guest with us who actually has helped us with the production of Hold My Heart and this set. And viewers, I would love to introduce you to our guest, Sister Noora Sultan. Assalamu alaikum, Noora.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. A bit under the weather, but otherwise very good, alhamdulillah.
How does it feel to be the first guest of this Sisters podcast?
The pressure is definitely on.
Yeah.
I think the pressure got to me so much I probably got a cold, honestly. But otherwise, I'm honored and excited to be here.
Honestly, we're so honored to have you because you've constructed this set with the help of many others, but the whole set, the little details that we've seen, you've played a very big part in it. So just as an icebreaker, before you get into the topic, what is one of your favorite things about the set?
My favorite, a favorite piece,
anything that maybe has a different meaning and the viewers.
First of all, I love the set as a whole.
Yeah.
I think it's such a vibe, and the whole concept behind it is that it's a very cozy living room vibe where you almost feel like you can sit in this place and have a conversation, and inshallah whichever guest comes on has that feeling. It's cozy, it's warm, it's inviting. And I think that's the idea behind it. Was this is a safe space for women to just talk about whatever they want to talk about. As far as my favorite piece, there's a picture of Hadi, who's my son, and those little Polaroids. And honestly, I love a lot of the props here, but it was definitely a team effort. It wasn't something I just pulled, especially the construction. I did not do any of that.
But it's such a cozy environment, even it feels like the cameras are off and we can just talk to each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Let's just talk. Let's just be chill and the vibe.
Yeah. But even the viewers have been asking what our name means. We've named it Hold My Heart podcast.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Honestly, I think the guys did a couple of polls on the After Maghrib Instagram. And I think a lot of the answers were
before Fajr,
after Fajr, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the name was decided by the team, the internal team. And I think it's just putting whatever we're all holding in our hearts. And I think there's a lot that we hold on to. And just putting that in Allah's hands at the end of the day. So I think it's just a very simple concept, but it holds a lot of
layers,
importance and layers. Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. And even just this set that we've sitting in talking, and I feel I don't know, Zohra, how you feel, but it just feels very cozy.
It's very cozy. Even today walking in, and I was like, is there something different? I love it. I just sat on the floor, started making notes, and it felt homey. And then I realized the rug is a new addition.
I mean, to the viewers, if you guys pay attention, the upcoming episodes, you'll probably see things being switched around, added around. So it's not staying 100% this, but if you can spot any changes, let us know.
Because I felt it as soon as I walked in. I was like, there's something going on
American
here. Yeah, and I took my shoes off, and I was sitting.
Cozy, right? You can actually take your shoes off.
I know. Yeah. So I was I definitely felt cozy. Yeah. Really, you were trying to achieve that, but you have, because I felt it. I prayed on here, and I did everything.
Nice.
So I was it felt like home.
I love
that.
Yeah.
So you definitely achieved your goal.
I'm Honestly, let's just get into it. Today, we're talking about women involvement in the community, and if we have enough involvement, one, or if like it's restricted, are women doing enough? Do we have enough opportunities? So I want to just start off by asking maybe explain to the viewers what you do, what your background is. We've touched on After Maghrib. What was your journey into the creative space, firstly?
I think that's a bit of a complicated question for me because I'm not even sure what it is that I do at this point. But I think my overarching umbrella is just creativity and using the creativity that I have to serve the community, basically, in whatever way that looks like, whether it's graphic design or setting up sets, or it could be anything. But, you know, I'm happy to be a part of that process, the creative process. I think that, should we jump into the women?
Yeah.
The women's being involved?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think there is definitely a space for women. Like, alhamdulillah, I've had so many opportunities. I've had so many chances to work with all kinds of organizations, people, and there is definitely space for women. It's whether or not, if we take that space, and how do we take up that space, basically. So yeah, I definitely think there is space for us there.
I think 100%, like you said, especially maybe we're talking contextually in London. I think there are a lot of like spaces for us. You know, there's new organizations.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, definitely.
There are. But I think if we were to maybe, I guess that could be a starting point. Maybe if we compare it to brothers, why is it that maybe some sisters don't have as many opportunities as brothers? Do you think that could maybe be something?
Honestly, I wish somebody would do the statistics on that.
Yeah.
I would love to know.
I think it's interesting.
What the statistics are.
There was a statistic. I don't know where I came across this, but there was one that said males have access to, not even just leadership. Like, for example, if they want to ask a question to a sheikh or maraja or whatever, they have 50% of men have access to these sort of contacts, whereas women don't. And so I think, there are some statistics, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. I
There's
think
gaps.
that's something we should definitely look into is the men's sphere and the women's sphere within the community and all of that. I don't think we have enough on it. But as far as my experience, why do men get more chances? Because they're men. That's what it comes down to. And men have a lot more flexibility. They can be a lot more independent. They can get away with things compared to women. And it is much harder for a woman to navigate having a space within the community alongside a man or even behind a man. It is very, very difficult. But I do see it happening, and it's happening a lot more now compared to, say, like 10 years ago. It's definitely happening a lot. It's becoming a lot more normalized now compared to then. It's just about lifting each other up at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, but also I feel like when you talk about leadership positions, for example, even if you talk about women involvement in projects, like you've led a few projects yourself, I feel like a lot of girls maybe feel imposter syndrome, or they feel like, oh, maybe I don't deserve this space as much as a guy does, right?
Yeah.
But like, how do you deal with that? Did you ever
Honestly, I have imposter syndrome with everything. Everything I do, it's always that little voice in my head that's like, Noora, what are you doing? Go back in your lane. Do you know what I mean? But I never think I have imposter syndrome to the point where it's like, oh, a man should do this. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think I've ever put myself in a position where I feel like I'm taking a role that's meant for a man. I'm just posing as a man to do that role, basically.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never felt that I should pass on a role to a man or anything, but it's just my own insecurities and stuff like that kind of creeps in. But yeah, I think that's natural. I think that's human. I think if you don't have imposter syndrome, that's amazing. But if you do, it's normal. It's completely normal. As a woman within that environment, you're always going to feel like, what am I doing here? Should I be here? Do you know what I mean? And there's always people that are going to resist your existence within that place. So you're always going to feel like, maybe I should just stop doing this. I mean, I have a a bad feeling or this or that, somebody's being unkind and not understanding of maybe I'm a mother and I show up late, or I'm a mother and I can't take part in these after work things and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely definitely affects how women are within those environments.
Even with this podcast, like it's like there are sister podcasts out there, but also like even being just sister hosts or like having sister guests.
Yeah.
I feel like even as a host, it's like a bit of an imposter syndrome.
I get that as
Like,
well.
yeah.
Really? Do you guys feel that?
Yeah. I've got like two personal examples. So for example, the first time I came just to meet the team, right? The Hold My Heart team, the girls and everything. And I was so scared. And I came up to you and I even told you, I was like, I don't know what
It's a
I'm
bit
doing.
daunting, yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I should do this because of like my own personal background and ethnicity and how it's just, I don't know anyone or any Afghan like Hazara that's up there like as a female just sitting in front of a camera doing
And I
podcasts.
love that. I
And
love
was
that. Like I told you, I said we don't have many Afghan women who are, taking
in
lead.
positions of leadership.
Yeah, we need that. It's a marginalized group. Even within the Shia community, they're marginalized and they need that representation. And good for you for taking on that role.
Thank you, because she like really inspired me. She's like, as long as it's not haram, like why'd you care? Thank
That's
you.
my
Like,
motto.
I feel that way too, but sometimes it creeps in and you're like, I don't think you should do this. And even like, my own mum, right? I told her, I was like, Mum, I just filmed this episode 1 that we did, and I was like, okay. I showed her like the sneak peek, the behind the sets and everyone. She got a bit worried, and she got like, she was like, what are you doing? Are you sure this is what you want to do? What are people going to say? And now that made me worried as well. And then in turn, like I felt like a bit like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? Should I continue? Am I good enough? That people will look onto this podcast and be like, okay, like, why is she up there? What qualifies her and everything? And I even, after that, I messaged my friend from uni who I haven't seen for a while, but we talk here and there.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should do this, if I should continue this. And she's like, you're fine. You're okay. Or tell me when they're going to come out and I'm going to be tuning in like left, right and center. And I was like, okay, good. So it's stuff like that. You do feel that. Okay.
Honestly, it's always hard being in front of the public eye, but let alone being a woman and doing something that is a bit different. Do you know what I mean?
Very different.
So it's a huge risk. A huge risk, and you're gonna have people who love you, people who hate you, and that's just how it is. And like you have to be mentally aware of what you're getting yourself into, and you just, and all those voices are like, what are people gonna say? That's the biggest question in our households is what are people gonna think?
Did you deal with that when like as a mother, like
definitely? No, even when I was young, like when I was younger, within our community, like girls don't go and give speeches and this and that. And I remember like my grandfather, Allah rahmah, I remember I did an event, and I think it was after the bombing in Karada and Baghdad, I believe, and I wanted to do a speech. I wanted to host an event in like central Boston and do a speech and stuff like that. And my grandfather was like, my mom was like, what are people gonna say? And my grandfather is like, go for it. I'm going to be right beside you, and I'm going to do a speech with you right after you. So like he definitely pushed me into doing that and not being afraid of what people think and this and that. But that doesn't mean my grandfather started off like that. Like he was, that's not how my aunts, for example, were raised. But I think he saw that as long as we were practicing and we were passionate about our deen and trying to use our deen within our everyday lives as people living within America, he felt like it was important to do things like that. I think he eventually saw that the importance of it. Even if you're a woman, you should do these things. So yeah, I definitely had to deal with that as a mother. And now that I've grown older and, I don't really think about that anymore. I don't really think about what are people going to say. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, to be honest.
But you mentioned America. So do you not see a difference? Is there a big difference in the way the communities are in America and the UK, for example, even for these like kind of projects?
I think there are definitely differences. I think there are things in America women can probably do that over here you would definitely be judged for.
Like what?
For example, like if you had a hall full of men, let's say, and it was partitioned, but one side was men, one side was women, and a woman gave or hosted the event, and she was in the men's side. Would that happen in the UK?
Yeah, no.
No, it wouldn't.
I haven't seen it yet.
No,
Definitely
it wouldn't.
not.
I don't think it would happen here
Yeah.
because people go through all these, red tape and this and that of hijab, social hijab. Not that I'm saying it doesn't happen there, but things like that do happen there. So there is definitely a difference. Women, I feel, in the US take charge, lead a lot more, are given that space to lead a lot more. I think here women maybe have that space, but women tend to stick with other women or lead organizations with other women, مثلا, or start an organization with their friends and stuff like that. So that happens a lot more here.
But what makes it different? Like what makes it different so that the women in US do take up these roles, but women in the UK don't? Like, is there like an upbringing issue, or why do you think there are differences? Because women are women at the end of the day, and
I think it's just like the American culture is very, very different to British culture. Like American culture is very open, is very friendly, it's very welcoming, and I don't think they care whether or not you're a man or a woman. It's about just getting it done, and if you qualify to do it. I think in the UK it's I think in the UK it's a bit different because the British culture is very closed off, and the British culture is very judgmental, and the British culture is a bit colder than America. And I'm sorry to say this
that
to
is true.
the British
We're
audience.
agreeing, even us British people.
Honestly, a lot of the things that I notice within the Shia community here, I kind of backtrack it to British culture.
It is.
I think that's where it comes back to.
Yeah, with the grumpiest people. Like
You said it, not me.
it's true. When you walk around, right? Very rarely, when you go on hikes, yes, people say hi, and I found that very weird. Like growing up in London, you just walk, and you've got like a straight face, and you just walk and get on with your life, right?
Yeah.
And you don't communicate, you don't smile, and you don't stare, so it's considered all rude and everything, and impolite and everything. But when you're going on hikes and everything, they're saying hello to you. And you don't know what to do.
And it's so much harder when it's like your own community. Okay, British people can do that to me.
Yes, that's true.
It's so much harder when it's your own people doing that to you. So I think that like for a long time it was very hard for me to adjust to that culture difference. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, British people are like that, these people are like that. I think there's a link here somewhere. Do you know what I mean? It's an upbringing thing within the country that you're in. It definitely influences you.
Focus on the Shia community part. I can't imagine how daunting it must have been from you to like switch communities. And then you also mentioned like girls forming organization, maybe sticking to themselves.
Yeah.
Is that a barrier then to why maybe women aren't involved in these projects? Because there's all these like little groups that are already made. And what was your experience with it?
Yeah, I think so. I think like when you're a newbie like me and or like many other people, a lot of my friends are not from London necessarily, they come from different parts, but when you're new to the community and you walk in, you see that the community is already formed. There's already groups, there's already cliques, there's already friendships and history and all of that already happening, and you're just like barging into it. So I think for me, like, it took me a long time to make any friends because I was like, I didn't feel that warmness or felt welcomed. Like, I remember in the US, like, if somebody new comes into the mosque, everybody's like, go give her food, go talk to her, go ask her where she's from, go this. Like, it becomes like a community effort to make that person feel welcomed. And I never ever experienced that coming here. Maybe because the communities are bigger, but I think people have been here long enough to know there's a strange face here and this person is showing up to all the events. Maybe we should talk to this person. And I'm that type of person. Like, I'll just go up to you and be like Salam, I'm Noora, what's your name, where you're from? Like, that's just the way I was brought up. But yeah, it's really, really hard to break into that.
But you didn't let it stop you. You still wanted to be involved. But I feel like a lot of the girls here,
it did stop me.
Did
it?
Did.
Yes.
Okay.
It did stop me.
Why did it stop you?
It did stop me because when I first moved here, it was COVID. So already there wasn't much happening. Then after COVID, things kind of started to like reintegrate and stuff like that. And then when I would go to different centers, I was like, I used to tell people, can I help with this? I used to go up to volunteers and be like, can I help with this? And they say, no, we already have people for this. You don't.
Oh my God.
We already have somebody doing this. We already have somebody doing that. So it's okay. Just enjoy the program. And it wasn't like a malicious way or anything. It was just like, there's really no space for me here to do khidmah of any sort. Do you know what I mean? And then I think over time, and then eventually I had my kids. And then over time, especially I think this year, we went to Kingsbury and they had mawakib there. And we took our kids. And one of my son saw the mawakib and he's like, I want a mawkib. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's do a mawkib.
Yeah.
And I contacted one of the centers and like within a day I put it together and I was like, he pushed me actually to get back into it. I think as physical khidmah, do you know what I mean? There's behind the scenes khidmah that I do that I feel like, you know, there's stuff behind the scenes that's not, I don't show my face or I don't go in the forefront or anything like that. But for me, it was good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's actually so sad what you just said, that people actually turned you away and prevented you from doing it. Like, I'm sorry, but okay, you asking to, like, you say, can I help you with this? And they just say, no, there's enough people. Okay, I think one more person isn't going to, like, kill the vibe or anything just because she's new or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what you felt as a Brit, as, like, to be honest, I think this ties, like, a lot to me being Afghan as well. But when I went uni... when I went into like the Arcomel, I went city and I went once, and then to the Arcomel on the first day I went once, and like I could just see, like you said, they were forming their cliques. They had formed their cliques already, and I walk in, they don't know me, and I don't know any Shias at that point, and they just look at you. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I've murdered someone or something, and I just sit in a corner.
All eyes on Zohra.
Never showed off again. I'm sorry, that was horrible. So
it's just
like
uncomfortable. Why would you put yourself through discomfort twice? You know what I mean?
Twice again in the same environment, same people, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not coming again. And then but then because I went through that discomfort, I became a bit like you in terms of like personality. I was like, why don't I choose who I want to be friends with? So for example, I did this with two of my friends, right? There was one personality which I saw online, and I saw the post that she was like posting. It was very similar to what I would post and the things that I would think, and like our personalities.
It resonated with
yes,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I watched her post for a couple months and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna message her. I'll be like, hi, so I've seen your post and I think we should be friends. We're so similar.
Get straight to it. Yeah.
So we're so similar in this sense, and I told her I was like trying to sell myself, right? She ignored me. And then the next day she came back and like she started messaging me. She just bombarded me with memes and everything, like cat memes, Dean, cooking memes,
right away.
Everything. I know, the next day or so, but it wasn't straight away. So I was like, oh, I'm not doing this again. But then when she came back, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh, wow.
We still to this day contact each other through memes, right? And share memes with each other.
In that instance, you took the first step.
Yes, but I think
you
that's
forced
important.
yourself to get out of your discomfort and just do something that is a bit different.
Exactly. Even with like, I went to a charity organization where you help feed the poor, right? Feed the homeless. I went in there, I saw a name that I really liked. I was like, you know what? I've never known someone with this name, but this name, like, I don't know why, I feel like a closeness to this name. So I went up to her and I was like, are you Benin? And she's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, can I be your friend? And then we just became friends like that. And then we went out after. I think we had I can't remember, but from that day, she was like, yeah, sure. She told me later that she really liked my energy. Even when she saw me first, she was like, I want to be her friend. But I went and I asked her because of the discomfort that I've been through in the past. And I was like, yeah, no way am I gonna like just go in there and like let people stare at me like for no reason. Yeah.
You have to push yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just, there is a sense of resentment, you know what I mean? And misery, a little bit of that. Like it's a concoction of all these negative thoughts that, what am I doing here? Why should I come here? Why should I do this? But you just have to push yourself. If people are not coming to you, go to them. Take a chance.
Exactly. Take a chance. Take the risk. And you never know. You might come out with 2-year friendships.
Yeah, you don't know. Wallah. It's true. Yeah. Most of my friendships here are like that. I have an amazing group of friends that have completely like changed how I feel within this country. It changes everything.
Yeah.
You move to a new country. It's just you, and I moved here because I got married, and it was just me and him for a while. And it took a long time for me. I would say about 4 years, maybe.
Yeah.
3-4 years for me to like start building a friendship group. And it's because I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I was like, I need to make friends. Like whether I want to or not, whether I want to, I have to make friends. And it completely shifts your everyday life. And especially when you don't have family and you don't have people who are on the same wavelength as you or things like that. It definitely changes everything. It's really important.
But I also think the whole, let me just do this or let me just put myself forward mentality isn't really there because maybe we don't have enough like personalities to look up to, for example. So during your journey, did you ever feel like, oh, I don't have enough role models or girls involved that I'm seeing, let me do this? Or was it more of a natural journey? Because I feel like there's a gap that if there's not enough women involved, it's because we're not really seeing it happen, so it refrains girls from putting themselves forward. So what do you think? Do you think maybe we don't have enough role models to look up to, and we essentially have to be the people that be like, okay, there's this gap, let me go ahead and fill it?
I think role models for me personally, there's no one like within my generation that I've resonated with, if I'm honest. There are a couple people I admire for what they do and how they do it and things like that, but I won't necessarily say that I have a female model. Obviously, like when you don't have that or you don't feel that, or maybe even if you do have that, you always go back to the Ahlul Bayt, Fatima Zahra, Sayyidah Zainab, and all the women within the holy household. And that's kind of your rock as a woman. That's pretty much, all we have. Even if there are role models and things like that, they don't fully like fill that void. Do you know what I mean? As Fatima Zahra or Sayyidah Zainab or the women within the holy household would. So I think for me, I don't necessarily have one, but doesn't mean I'm not on the lookout for one.
There's actually a hadith I read recently about Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, and Imam Jafar al-Sadiq actually narrates that when he spoke about her, he said she was involved in her house, but she was also involved in the community. He was saying like she did both. And I feel like a lot of women sometimes forget, like they're like you're married, you have kids, but sometimes they're like, okay, this is my role and that's all I'll do, and I don't really need to be out in the community. So
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's completely fine. But sometimes it's nice to do things. The other day I was thinking, like when I'm in majlis and stuff like that, I think, do we think that men curated the majlis experience? Do we think that it was a man who decided, we're going to do Quran, then we're going to do a lecture for an hour, and when that happens, we're going to pass out chai and cake, and afterwards we're going to do dinner? Like, I wonder sometimes, like, was it women who kind of helped curate that experience? And I think these women within the holy household, they must have had a hand in all of that. In all of the things that we know today. I think there was definitely a hand in there from women. So I think Fatima Zahra, for example, like they say she wanted a maid, but not because she was, she didn't have time to clean or cook or look after the kids, but because she wanted to do ibadah. And within that ibadah, there's also servicing us and servicing the people that come after. We learn a lot from her, tasbih and all kinds of things that we have carried on from her time up until now. And look, like maybe it was her needing that extra help to do that, ibadah, to influence how we, practice our Shiism and our religion. These things all go hand in hand, I think.
It's a teamwork at the end of the day, like it doesn't just need to be, the men are at the forefront, they're, i.e. like better leaders, for example. It's more like we can work together. Like, why aren't women and men working together to provide projects, for example? So maybe we could then like ask ourselves, is it men that maybe aren't giving enough opportunities to women? Do you think that's the case? Or
I don't know in general, but I know from my experience, like, alhamdulillah, I've had all kinds of experiences within the community. I've had men who have pushed me into becoming more of a leader and who kind of took out that leader within me. And it was because they were so, what's the word? They were really helpful in that journey for me. Yeah, they saw the potential and that really changed the course of my life, to be honest. And then there are other men that I've worked with that are not very kind when it comes to working working alongside women or with women. They don't take it very well, and they really struggle with a woman having an opinion, a woman being a little bit more creative than them, a little bit more intelligent than them. That struggle hits really hard for them. So I've had all kind of experiences, to be honest. I can't say it's this or that. I think it's based off of everybody's personal experience, what everybody goes through. There are all kinds of men out there. There's good guys, bad guys, there's all kinds. You'll get a mix.
I think men play a huge role in terms of like either they can be an obstacle or they can give you that push to get you to where you need to get to. For example, with the obstacle, sometimes like I know this is a very common theme amongst the Afghans, like when they get married, women when they get married. Okay, so they could be involved within the community prior to marriage, and then they get married, their husband and their families, they expect them to do a complete change for them. So you're no longer gonna be part of the community, you're no longer gonna help, you're my wife, you're gonna stay in this household and do this. And so basically they talk about the ghayra and everything. Like it's just sometimes I think men like can be both, like you said, they can be good and bad. And they can be good in the sense that they push you. Like, for example, my brother, when I told him I'm doing this podcast, he was so happy and he was like, go for it.
Oh, so nice.
I know. And I experienced that like with my brothers. Alhamdulillah, they're very supportive. My mom as well. Like the men in my family, they're very supportive of what I do, because at the end of the day, they know it's khidmah. Even like my husband, he doesn't like he's very supportive. Like he drives me here, takes me back and everything.
That's important. Picking a spouse.
Exactly. Picking a spouse is very important, because you could end up with someone who likes you because you're social and that you do community work and everything, but when you get married and then they see, okay,
they suppress that. Yeah,
they suppress that.
Happens a lot.
They suppress that. They try to change you, and then so I think men do play a big role in either helping or preventing you from taking up leadership roles.
Definitely. It's really like, even within families, like for me growing up, I had people in my family saying, oh, when you get married you can do whatever you want.
Just wait wild.
Wait until you get married and then you could do XYZ, and then you get married and you're like, where's all these things that I was promised? So yeah, men really do influence your father, or in my case it was my grandfather, or your uncles. There's always gonna be a male influence who kind of like has a say, or is that little voice you hear in your head when you do things like that. But I think khidmah is the umbrella word, right? So there's so many ways you can do khidmah, or ways that you can serve within the community. You can actually go out there and do things, or you can find a loophole. Like I grew up in an all-white town. There was no other hijabis or colored people, none of that. It was just white people in a little tiny town in the middle of, nowhere. And I was like, I want to do something. Like, I love my religion.
Yeah.
I loved, like, even when I was little, I loved the idea of wearing hijab. I loved the idea of I'm different to everybody else. My culture is different. My food is, I loved it. I was like, it was like a bragging point for me, to be honest. And then I was like, yeah, honestly. And I was like, I want to do something else. And then that pushed me to, I think I saw like a video in Norway or something. They were passing out hot chocolate for who was Hussein? Who's Hussein? I think they did like a chocolate distribution. That changed my life. I was like, I'm gonna reach out to who's Hussein.
That actually
let me see if they would let me like do something. And then I just did my own thing. I just started my own thing, did my own thing, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here.
You spoke about Norway. I went Norway in 2014 with my and at that point I was not religious or anything, and I didn't understand the religion either. I went Norway. My cousins are in Norway, and I handed out roses for an organization called Stand with Hussein. So it was very similar to Who's Hussein, but it was for Stand for Hussein. And we went to a lecture and everything. And after that, I was just like, I went in. After that, I was just thinking, how can I do community work? How can I do all of this? And so, yeah.
There's definitely a thrill with the community work and with khidma and stuff like that. Once you start, you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. And that's one of the most beautiful things about khidma is like it's a bit addicting and it's a bit hard to stay away from it. And you'll always, if you really want to do khidma, you'll always find a way to do it in any shape or form. You're going to find a way to do it.
I have a question for you. You said, I really like the point about how it was a bragging point for you to wear the hijab and be different, be the only brown person, and just, yeah. I want to know more about like the hijab aspect. What made you wear it? Like, because was it your mother or because of
It was
you were looking up, or
my mom was
you
like,
chose?
Yeah, my mom was like, I think 9/11 had just happened, and my mom was like, no, it's too soon for her. I was 8 years old, I think. And I was like, no, please, like, let me wear it. I need to wear it. And I remember I used to, like, secretly take a hijab to school and wear hijab in school. And I honestly, my love for hijab came from my mom and from the women within my house. I would see my mom, stand in front of the mirror and put her hijab on, and all the women in my family do that. And I was a bit jealous, like, why can't I have one of those? And I think that's what led to it. It was just a natural, for me, alhamdulillah, it was just like a natural thing. It was a very natural journey for me when it came to hijab. And
I think for a lot of girls, even wanting to serve, it's like it keeps going back to having that environment, and how environment, like having a supportive environment is like so important to it. If you want to serve khidma, I feel like some viewers that might be watching might be like, oh, well, I don't have that. I don't have a supportive environment. The men around me don't support me. I have restrictions. Or for example, I want to get married. I want to serve as well. But my family tells me, oh, this will be something that will maybe put you off, like someone from wanting to get to know you or for marriage. For you then, if we focus on this, marriage and khidma, do you think it's something that we should consider if we are wanting to, for example, do spouse selection? How do we go about it?
You have to. If you're somebody who sees themselves as always being a khadma of the community, or like physically a khadma of the community, or whatever it is, then you have to find somebody who fits that need. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna marry a person and and this person, like, during the engagement period tells you, oh, I don't like my wife being XYZ. I don't like my wife being, everybody knows her or her face, everybody knowing her face or this or that, then maybe that's not the person for you, because that person, you don't want to start a relationship thinking, I'm going to change this person's opinion. Number one, I'm going to change his thoughts on this or her thoughts on this. And number two, you don't want to go into that relationship with, already losing a piece of yourself, because when you do enter a marriage, you are going to lose pieces of yourself. Don't let that be one of them. So I think you have to be picky when it comes to stuff like that. You need to pick somebody who aligns with you with these things. And alhamdulillah, I've been very lucky that, and one of the reasons why I married the person I married is because he aligned with me, and we were both you know, we were both serving at the same time, and that was the start of our relationship, was khidma, and it just carried on from there. So I can't see myself denying him that. Like, he does the After Maghrib podcast. I can't be like, oh, we have a family now, you should stop doing the podcast, like, you know, you need to be at home. I find it as something that's admirable and something that I need to help facilitate for him if I can. And likewise for him in my projects. Like, he's there for me in my projects, and you need that harmony within a relationship. And I definitely would say you have to, those are one of the, if you want to do that checklist, you know, the pros and cons, that should be on your pros and cons list.
That's so interesting, because I don't think girls would consider that, like, oh, I want to serve the community in this capacity, or if I'm getting to know someone, should I even mention this? Maybe they won't like it.
No, we don't. We don't think about that. We think about, is this person gonna let me work? Is this person gonna let me finish my schooling? Those are like the two primary things when we think about relationships. Is he a good person? Does he pray? Does he fast? Does he do all of these things? These are like, you know, the basics of the relationship you're looking for. But there are things you don't think about, like, who do I want to be? Do I want to change myself when I get married? Do I not want to be the Noora who leads big events or works with men, for example, works with other men to get things done, or within organizations? Do I want to lose all of that within my relationship? Is it going to cause resentment? So these are all questions you have to ask yourself if you're one of those, you know, one of those girls or ladies who you really revere that aspect within your life.
I think it's also because a lot of the, like, people, if are talking about marriage and khidma, they're more like, sometimes they see one thing and they're like, if you are married and now you're going to serve the community in that same capacity, work, there's just too much going on. And that might be a reason that girls might think and be like, okay, then I won't choose khidma. That does remind me, I think it might be a good time to do Hold My Thoughts.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Hold My Thoughts is basically, we asked a question to our viewers. So this week's question was, what prevents women from helping out in the community? And a few of you guys said, for example, I'll read this out. Henna said, patriarchy is still prevalent, judgmental attitudes and insularity with specific Shia groups. Another one was Sayyida, I think, scared about men talking inappropriately about us. Another person said, which I'm not sure what the name is, there is no female we can reach out to at the mosque to ask if we can volunteer. So I think that means the lack of opportunities available. And in some cultures, they don't listen to the lack of concerns of women. And then Anonymous, I think what stops limits females to take the lead are the social norms of community. Social hijab is another comment that we got. Samira, hijab, also not taken seriously. So they think that if they take these positions of like leadership or they help out in the community, the hijab will be compromised. What do you think of that?
If they take roles within the community,
they think that by taking up space and roles within the community, it compromises their social hijab. What do you think of that?
Social hijab is always something that's tough to navigate, and you need to know you yourself, your boundaries, and like your own social hijab, basically. How it starts with you. I think social hijab starts with you, and the energy that you give off, it affects the way people treat you and the way people see you. At least that's the way that I've seen it. I think that's my personal opinion, is the energy that I radiate, the energy that I give off, that's what I'm gonna be reciprocated within social hijab. I think if you're working within the community, the expectation is you're going to be working within people who have akhlaq, who have adab, who have social hijab, who have all these things.
Exactly.
If that's not within that environment, well, what are you doing there? to be honest.
But also it goes back to the intention as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you are serving and you're worried about social hijab, just check inside, okay, wait, why am I doing this? I feel like that might help as well.
Yeah,
That-
but
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Zahra.
so I agree with the intention of doing it for Allah and khidmah and everything, but your intention could be right. And for example, I know people who are introverts, but they go out into these like events and everything, but they bring out their extroverted side and social side out to speak to people, to help people to feel comfortable around them and to feel welcome. But in turn, when they do that, like one of the comments said, men might talk negatively about them or make inappropriate remarks about them, about how oh, she's too bubbly, she's too loud.
Maybe we
What
should
do you
bring
do?
HR into community
Yeah.
things.
HR into the community. So yeah, your
These
intentions
bodies.
could
Honestly, I think we might need it. If our women are getting harassed because of their hijab within a community, within like a community organization or something, there's something off there. That's a huge red flag. Like, I don't think you should be, personally, I don't think you should put yourself in an environment like that. Khidmah and serving and giving to the community, it should be a healthy environment. It should be an environment where you feel safe, where you feel respected, where you feel like there shouldn't be a compromise on your hijab and your akhlaq and all of that because you're serving within that organization or the community. But I can see where it becomes hard because I'm not going to say it's always men's fault. Sometimes women themselves and maybe younger girls, they don't know how to act around the opposite gender.
Well, there's no guidelines.
There's no guidelines, right? So all we know is this is ayab, that's ayab, don't do that, that's all we know. So sometimes I think it's important to have somebody who can sit them down and be like, and very like nicely behind the scenes and be like, like, Habibti, like you shouldn't be doing this and like in a very gentle way, in a very loving way, and it's all about leadership. Social hijab for men as well, like you're talking about somebody's daughter, you're talking about somebody's wife, you're talking about like if you really want to improve that person, go find maybe go tell your wife or go tell your mom, there was a girl I heard do this and that, maybe somebody should speak to her. Like there's always a way around it other than just jumping to the conclusion that this person has no social hijab or maybe she doesn't know better.
Also, you saying that, oh yeah, I sometimes think like, how have you noticed that as a man? Unless like you're so fixated on a person or like I don't think you can realize such a thing unless you just focus on the negatives of that aspect. I don't know. Like I find it really weird
like
when
you're in a community.
Yeah.
It's just more about that genuine care for each other. And I think that even it ties back into this whole episode. Is that like a genuine care? Okay.
You're her brother. See yourself as her brother, as her father. Like, find a way to either excuse her or find a way to make a change and help her instead of, judging her. Yeah. So I think it's, like I said, it's the easy thing to do. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. I've heard that a lot, growing up. There's always somebody who's going to judge you. There's always somebody who's not happy with something you did, nitpicks on things that you do. It's always going to happen. But it's about how did that person approach me, or how did that person help me in my growth and my journey within the community and within being part of that community. So it's really important.
I feel like it also just keeps going back to your intention in yourself. Like, why am I doing khidmah? Why am I in this space? Check yourself for like the sisters that maybe are worried about these issues. Like, for example, if we're here, we're doing khidmah, we're thinking about, okay, how am I serving the imam of my time? And I feel like if we keep that maybe at the forefront of everything that we do, that this is my niyyah, this is why I'm here, a lot of these issues in ourselves go away, right?
Niyyah is like the biggest internal conflict that I have, and there's when I used to lead the Who's Hussein team in North America, we had all these different teams and stuff, and there's one person in particular, and if she listens to this, she's gonna know it's her. She used to lead the Texas team. I think she still does. And I remember her, like, she was like all over the news and she did some incredible work. And I told her, like, wow, like, you're famous now. So she's like, no, Noora, stop. I don't want my niyyah to be like tarnished by this. Like, I don't want my niyyah and the pure reasons why I'm doing this to be like diluted and like changed or like, you know, like chemically changed because I have all this fame and attention now. And I was like, I was young at the time. I was like, wow, that's like an amazing perspective. Like that changed my perspective. Like that helped me. Like hearing her say that kind of like did this instant click for me, is like, what is my niyyah? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I doing this because it's fulfilling that, like I said, that thrill or that? And I think one of the things that's very common now is like being well known within the community, having a name in the community. Everybody wants to have that. And am I doing it for those reasons, or am I doing it to serve Allah and to please Allah at the end of the day? And sometimes community work is not for the weak-hearted. It's hard work. It's really hard, and it can be brutal, and you really have to push yourself. But it's rewarding because I feel like I'm serving Imam Mahdi in some shape or form, whatever it is that I do. And I always keep that in the back of my mind. Like the Ahlul Bayt, Allah, pleasing Allah with what you do. And how does that service lead me to become a better person for Imam Mahdi when he needs me, when he calls on me? How does this skill, how is that gonna help during that time?
I think that daily like self-check as well. Like even with us, like the cameras are on and this is like a public platform at the same time. I think what helped me, and I'm sure like you guys are like keeping in your mind, is what am I doing this for? Like, why am I here? Or if you're worrying about this certain thing, should I be worrying about it? So then what's my niyyah? And it's so, by the way, it's so easy to get lost in it. And it's so like you're going from one khidmah to another, one khidmah to another. Even the women involved in community, it's so easy to be like, oh, wait, I forgot to even check, why am I doing this?
Especially in the like social media era. Like you're getting likes, you're getting, you know, shares and this and that. It's so easy to fall into that whirlwind of, you know, of like instant gratification. And then all of that is just noise, I think, honestly. For me at least, like that's just all noise. A post does well today, everybody's gonna forget about it tomorrow. Like that's just how it is. And I think there has to be, if you're doing something, do it with purpose, and that purpose should always go back to Allah and should go back to the Ahlul Bayt. So I think that for me, that's like the engine that keeps me going with a lot of things. And it's easy to give up. It's easy to, even when you become a mother, it's easy to just like, you know, I need to focus on my kids. And people say that's, you know, you're serving Allah, you're raising your kids to become this or that. So I think that always should be part of the intention when you do anything.
Exactly. And purifying it as we go. And it's not easy. Like even the girls listening, this isn't an easy task to do.
No.
But we're recognizing that it's difficult. But because we want to serve, like you fall in love with it, you want to keep going and keep serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any capacity you can. So what would be like your one advice for the girls that maybe are at home, are listening and be like, okay, well, I have strict parents. I want to get involved in my ABSOC at uni, or I want to like go out in my mosque, but my dad maybe doesn't let, my mom doesn't let me. Like I'm young. What do they do in those specific situations?
I think don't make it hard on yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself as well. So I think that when it comes to strict parents and maybe a strict spouse or any of that, I think, like I said earlier, there's like khidmah and service and all of that in community. There's so much you can do within your home. And like I said, like women having a role to play with majalis, maybe your home in a way can be that mokib or majlis for you. Maybe you can bring people into your home. If your husband doesn't let you go out and do things, maybe you can bring people into your home and do that thing that you wanted to do. Maybe it just looks a bit different than what you imagined, but at least it's something. And at least it's something that brings you closer to Allah. It could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be, starting a podcast and posting it online and stuff. It could be anything. And I see that a lot. And I really, really admire women who do that. I have a friend, she's very shy. She doesn't like to do it, but she holds majalis at her house. And that's her way of having that moment to feel like I'm doing something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm inviting my friends over. I'm doing what I feel like is giving back and is service and all of that. So there's always a way. And when it comes to parents, I think talk to your parents. Communication can change a lot of things. Communicating and speaking and sharing your feelings and sharing your thoughts.
Explain your niyyah.
Yeah, explaining it because of this and that. And maybe your parents will hear you out and maybe they won't. But you'll always find a way to have that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through doing something that gives back to the community.
So I like that point about how you said explain your niyyah to your parents and everything. Maybe they'll hear you out, maybe they don't. Because like I said, when I was younger, I wasn't raised in like a very religious household or anything. I did my research and I got here or whatever. And yeah, so I did want to be part of the community. My parents were a big barrier when I was younger. And even with the whole concept of doing things at home, where I would sit and I would read books and I would read articles or Al-Islam in and out, right? But it's not the same as physically going
But
out
how is
there.
that stuff you did then serving you now?
A lot. And that's the thing. And sometimes I think all
It's
of
just
that
about
helps
waiting.
you.
You just
It's
waited
just
out.
waiting. It's the waiting game. Yeah. So yeah, and I think you made a beautiful point about the intention, about how we should fix our intention. I know it's hard. Initially, you might think, oh yeah, purifying your intention is quite difficult. You're not gonna get it first round
Instantly.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it instantly. You have to keep working. Okay, we do this podcast. Yeah, first episode, like, oh, do I look good? Do I look this and all of that? But then slowly we work on it as well. So yeah, I think I really like the points that you two made, and it's really nice. The
It just comes back to khulus, sincerity. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? It just keeps coming back to that. And I feel like that's a good point to wrap up this beautiful episode that we've had.
I don't want it to end.
I don't want it to
Let's
end.
keep going.
But then Noora, maybe give one piece of advice to any girl. Like, what would be that one advice you give if she wants to be involved? She's not yet involved, she wants to be. What would you say to her?
We have to give two advices. One for like people that can't physically go out and do this, and people that can. What would you say?
That's a really tough question. Because everyone's circumstances are so different. It's hard to pinpoint it to one thing and one response. If you don't have the community or the support or any of that, focus on yourself and focusing on bettering yourself and focus on your knowledge and your yourself, exploring your thoughts and the way that you see that, where you want to see yourself in the future. And I think like reading books, like you said, or researching or listening to a podcast, whatever it is, work on yourself during that time. And then eventually think creatively and think, how can I apply these things I've learned in a creative way to accomplish what it is I want to accomplish within the community or within, like the world or whatever it is, like how far you want to go. So I think start with yourself if you're really restricted. I think if you're not restricted, what are you waiting for? Go out and start your own thing. I really love seeing these women-led organizations and women-only organized. I love those. I love I love seeing that. And mashallah, there's so many that are starting up, especially after COVID. So many started up, and like, I love that we're not waiting for a man to give us that space or a man to allow us to have that space. These women are just taking it and doing their own thing, and they're doing a wonderful job at it. So it doesn't mean like just because there are organizations that already exist, it doesn't mean like that's your only choice. There is a way that you can give back without, give back and make it a bit more creative, make it a bit more personal, and make it a bit more tailored to your likes and your needs, which is kind of the stage where I'm at right now, where I don't want to work for anybody necessarily, but I want to give back in my own way and on my terms.
Beautiful.
So I think that's my advice, to if that made any sense.
Beautiful
It
advice.
made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And honestly, such a beautiful episode. I'm so sorry for it to end as well.
No.
Noora, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate that you guys gave me the time and the space. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for being our first guest as well. And thank you all so much for joining us for our first episode with our guests and this beautiful topic we've covered. I think some good takeaways from this episode is, girls, if you're at home, you want to get involved, get out there. You know you can if you want to, and keep going, keep striving for the imam of your time, inshallah. For those who are maybe more restricted, there's other forms of khidmah that we can do. Just it's important that you keep it at the forefront, that it is possible as women to be involved in your community as much as the men are as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and inshallah we will see you for another episode very, very soon. Assalamu alaikum.